morning, everyone. My name is Phumzile Nkosi, and today I will be talking about WhatsApp encryption with the hopes of understanding the security system that affects us all. So I believe that all of us have used WhatsApp at least once in our lives. You might have had to use it to share jaw-dropping secrets, or if you're like some other people from my team, which I won't mention, you might have had to use it to urgently reply to the pressing message from HR about filling in your timesheets. But either way, I believe that we have all used it. And if you have never used it, I'm not really sure what to tell you. But these are the scenarios that make us understand just how much this platform has become a very important part of communication in our daily lives. But surprisingly, the inner workings and the security behind this platform are not talked about enough as much as they can be. This is why I'm here today to touch on the most interesting security aspect of this platform. It's encryption. From when you install the client app all the way to securely sending files and messages. So I believe all of us might have seen this from our chats. And if you have never seen it, it's probably time to question the type of WhatsApp that you are using. But what exactly does it mean? What exactly is end-to-end encryption? And in the context of WhatsApp, how exactly is it achieved? Well, to briefly answer your question, end-to-end encryption means that only the sender and the recipient can have access to the plain text messages that are being transmitted. And the basis for this end-to-end encryption is the Signal protocol that was designed back in 2013 by OpenWhisper. So the idea was to prevent access to plain text messages by third parties, and due to the ephemeral nature of the keys that are being used, even in situations where the current keys are compromised on a device, they cannot be used to decrypt previously transmitted messages. You can read more about it here. Well, you probably don't have the link. You can just Google it. So before we touch on WhatsApp features and their encryption, I would like us to touch on these interesting keys that are crucial in achieving this security and encryption. So we have the public key types, which consists of the identity key PEM, which is a long-term curve 255.19 key PEM that is generated at install time. So curve 255.19 means that the key was derived using the Diffie-Hellman curve 251.9 function. So we also have the signed pre-key that is signed by the identity key. We also have a batch of one-time pre-keys. We also have the session keys that consist of the root key, chain key, and the message key. So this message key is the actual key that is used to encrypt the actual message content. Another interesting key to touch on is the linking secret key, which is basically used when you're registering a device for an already existing WhatsApp account. For example, when you add WhatsApp to your PC, as it's already existing on your mobile phone, so that key is being transmitted during the QR code scanning. So there are a few things that I would like for you to know before I continue with this chat. So we have primary device and a companion device. A primary device refers to a device that is used to register WhatsApp using a new phone number, and there can only be one such device, that is your phone. The companion device is any device that is used to register an already existing WhatsApp account. That could be your PC, and we can have multiple such devices. So multiple devices will have their own different set of keys. And even when keys are compromised from one device, they cannot be used to decrypt messages on another device, and they cannot be used to decrypt messages that have already been transmitted. Therefore, if you are about to send a message as a sender, you will establish a pairwise encrypted session with each of the recipient's devices and all the sender's devices, excluding the device that you are using to send the message. So WhatsApp also uses something known as a client fan-out approach, which means that the client will transmit a single message n times to n different devices. So if you have a recipient that has 4 devices registered on the same WhatsApp account, and we have a sender that has 4 devices that is registered on their account, which means we have a total of 8 devices. So the sender will use one of their devices to send a message. So that means WhatsApp will send 7 messages to all those 7 devices in total. So you just got a new device and you would like to register WhatsApp. What exactly happens? So if it's on a primary device and you're registering WhatsApp for the very first time, what's going to happen is that your primary key when you install WhatsApp, your primary device when you install WhatsApp will generate and public its public identity key, signed pre-key, and the badge of the public one-time pre-keys that we have already touched on. And just like that, as they're being uploaded to the server, you already registered your WhatsApp account. But if it is a companion device, we need two signatures. We need the account signature. So the account signature is created when the primary device public identity key signs the companion device public identity key. So the device signature is actually vice versa. The companion device will sign the primary, the companion device public identity key will sign the primary device public identity key. And once this is established, these devices can be linked to the already existing WhatsApp account, and an end-to-end encryption can be established. So this is a very relatable scenario, at least for the Gen Z. So you just got your crush's number, and unlike the guy on the screen, you're probably not very brave enough to actually call your crush. So you you think that maybe the best way is to actually message them on WhatsApp. We hope that they reply, but the most important thing we are interested in is what exactly happens when you message someone on WhatsApp for the very first time. What does WhatsApp do when it comes to encryption? So you, as the initiator, will request for the pre-key bundle, which is the keys that we have mentioned, the public keys that consist of the public identity key, the signed pre-key, and one of the badge pre-keys. So these will be requested for all the recipient devices and the devices that belong to you as the initiator, excluding the device that you are using to send the message. So if for the companion devices that belong to the recipient, the server will also return things like the linking metadata, the account signature, and the device signature, which we have already discussed, that are uploaded by the companions when they are being linked to an existing WhatsApp account. So for all the companions, the initiator needs to verify the account signature. And if any of the verification fails, that means no message will be sent to that device. But in a situation where we have the verification being successful, the keys will be saved locally. The sender will also generate an ephemeral CAV25519 key and save it as the E initiator. The sender will also load its public identity key as the I initiator. And from this, a master secret key is calculated using a combination of those keys and elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman and concatenating the results together. So just for context, elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman is a key agreement protocol that allows two parties to actually establish a shared secret key over insecure channels. And once we have the master secret, we can then derive the root key and the chain keys from this master secret. Then we can finally send messages even when the recipient is offline. And until the recipient responds, on the head of the messages will include information requesting the recipient to build a corresponding session. And also, if the sender of the device that is sending the message is a companion, information such as the account signature and the device signature will be included on the head of the messages. So the fate questioning and strength building moment, waiting for your crush's reply. So what exactly happens on their side when they receive your message for the very first time? So if the sender was a companion device, the recipient on their side will verify the account signature and the device signature. And if any of the verification fails, the messages from that device will actually be rejected. So maybe if your crush has not replied to you yet, maybe you can blame it on the fact that verification might have failed. So, and the recipient will continue to calculate the master secrets using their own private keys and the public keys that we advertise on the headers of the messages that were sent. So also the recipient will delete the one-time pre-key that was used by the sender to send the messages. Also, the recipient will derive root key chain keys from the master secret that they have derived. So on to the interesting parts, exchanging messages. So messages are protected by the symmetric message keys using AES 256 in CBC mode for encryption and HMAC SHA 256 for authentication. So AES 256 has a key length of 256 bits, which is the largest key length that exists. And it is practically unbreakable by brute force using the current computing power, making it the strongest encryption system to exist so far. And the message key are derived from the chain key that ratchets forward with each and every message, which means that a new elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman agreement is performed with each message round trip to create a new chain key. So what happens is that when you're about to send a message, a new message key is derived using this function right here, and the currently existing key. Then the message key is used to encrypt the message that is being sent. The chain key is then updated using this method right here, which means that we now have the new chain key, and each message is individually encrypted using its own unique message key. And then that is why we cannot decrypt messages that have already been encrypted using the current message key, because each message has its own unique key. So, and also as we have mentioned, WhatsApp uses the client fan-out approach. So what about media and attachments? Well, these are handled quite differently from normal messages. So what happens is that when you send a selfie or a video or to your friend, what happens is that you as the sender will generate an ephemeral 32-byte AES 256 key and an HMAC SHA-256 key. So that is both for encryption and authentication. You as a sender will then encrypt the attachment that you're about to send using the encryption key. Then you append the MAC, which is message authentication code, using the SHA-256 key. You will then upload the encrypted attachment to a blob store, which is basically a database that stores a bunch of unstructured data. So you as a sender will then transmit a message to the recipient with the encryption key, the HMAC key, and a pointer to the blob in the blob store to ensure that when the recipient retrieves the blob, they know exactly where to find it. And then the recipient will be able to decrypt the message using the normal message key. They will then be able to retrieve the encrypted blob because they already have the pointer, and then they can verify the hash and the MAC because you have already sent the keys. They can then finally decrypt the blob. So what about group messages, statuses, and live locations? Well, if you're sending a message to a group for the very first time, you will generate a chain key and a signature key pair. The chain key will be used along with the public signature chain key to actually form something known as the sender key, which other parties can use to decrypt the message that you are sending to the group. So after you have the sender key, you will individually encrypt the sender message to each and send it to each member of the group using the messaging protocol that we have already explained previously, which means that all the participants in the group and all their other devices will actually have a unique encryption session with you as you share the sender key with them. And once you have done that, and you continue sending messages to the group, what happens is that a message key will be derived from the chain key and then will be used to encrypt the message and sign the ciphertext. Then the single ciphertext will, instead of being shared directly to the participant, it will be uploaded to the server, and the server will actually do the server-side fan out. And also what happens is that when a group member leaves the group, all participants clear their sender key. This is to ensure that people who have left the group cannot have the sender key, therefore cannot decrypt the messages that are being shared on that group. The same is true for for statuses. So when a receiver is also removed, the sender key is also cleared and it's started over. The same is true also for live locations. So another interesting scenario, actually back to the very same scenario. So this is you again, and it's Thursday, you are in the office and you are actually having some very interesting drinks. And as a BBGer, you probably know what kind of drinks I'm talking about. And you're probably feeling a little bit braver than usual. So you are like this guy on the screen. You're finally able to call your crush. So what exactly happens when you initiate a call for the very first time with someone on WhatsApp? So what happens is that we call that a call setup. So the initiator will establish an encryption session with each of the devices of the recipient, which means that if the recipient has 4 devices, 4 encryption sessions are established, and the initiator will generate a 32-byte SRTP master secret key. So SRTP is a secure real-time transport protocol that is used in real-time based communication, such as calls. So the initiator will send an incoming call message to all of the recipient's devices, and the device that answers the call will have the encryption session where the call takes place, where the call actually takes place, and that encryption session will be protected by the SRTP master secret specifically for that device. So what about group calls? Well, unlike one-to-one calls, keys are set whenever participants joins or leaves the call. So when a participant joins or leaves the call, one participant is selected as key generator and distributor, which means that that participant will generate the SRTP master and then distribute that SRTP master to all the participants, and the call will be encrypted using that new SRTP master secret key. And the master secret key is actually stored locally on all those devices that are active on the call, and then WhatsApp does not have access to it. So now that we have some bit of information, we can probably better define end-to-end encryption. So WhatsApp defines end-to-end encryption as communication that remains encrypted from a device controlled by the sender to one controlled by the recipient, where no third parties and not even WhatsApp can have access. So, but sometimes some organizations may choose to delegate management of their WhatsApp business API endpoint to a vendor. And in these instances, communication still uses the same signal protocol. However, WhatsApp does not consider these communications end-to-end. So what exactly is the takeaway from this? I don't know. I don't think there's a takeaway. I was just talking about WhatsApp features and their encryption. Thank you.